Hello, good afternoon, ladies. It is Sarah Shipton here from Scrapbooking with Sarah, and I'm coming live to you today on Tuesday, October 7, with this week's Technique Tuesday and our weekly scrapbooking challenge. This is our first weekly scrapbooking challenge for October. I want to say a big thank you to you all for being patient with me. We had a public holiday here yesterday in South Australia, and we also started daylight savings over the long weekend as well. So I'm feeling well out of sorts this week. I've had my husband home for a week and we were test driving our new caravan camping, which was super fun and super exciting. And I am running a little bit behind with all of my work for the first week of October. Well, officially like the second week because the month started for us last week. However, this is my first scrapbooking challenge for the week of October. And we are in a new month, which means we are working with a new paper suite and a new scrapbooking workshop kit. And I have actually shared some of these papers, I have shared some of these papers with you already. I did a little sneak peek of what we were going to be working with in October last month because this scrapbooking workshop kit went live in September. However, the coordinating designer series paper and suite was an online exclusive that actually dropped back in July. And then we had the coordinating scrapbooking workshop kit go live for an online exclusive in September. So stay tuned because at the end of my video this week, I am going to be sharing the 3 double-page scrapbooking workshop kits with you. But let's start with this week's scrapbooking challenge. We are creating a double-page spread. We are working with a pattern from the Reflections scrapbook program. This is a book that I've had stashed away for quite some time, and we are going back to basics with our scrapbooking patterns. This pattern is on page 32. It's called the Bottom Border Quartet, and we're turning a single page layout into a double page layout. So to start off with, you are going to need 2 sheets of either designer series paper or coordinating cardstock for your base pages of your scrapbook layout. I have opted for this beautiful floral pattern. It's in the color Timid Tiger, and it is from the Lovely Florals designer series paper. You're also going to need another sheet of only one sheet of either designer series paper or cardstock. And you're going to cut this piece that's running along the bottom at 5 inches by 12 inches. So it's going to be 12 inches in length to run across the bottom of your scrapbooking layout. And it's going to be 5 inches wide. So that's why you'll only need the one piece, because you'll be able to get your 2 5-inch pieces from one 12 by 12 sheet of either cardstock or designer series paper. So a very basic use of paper there. And so this is why I've actually gone with pattern paper or designer series paper as my base pages, and then another sheet of designer series paper running across the top there, because it looks great with coordinating colors, but also because it's a very subtle pattern that I'm using for my base pages of my cardstock, and another subtle pattern that we are running through the middle here. In terms of your photo orientation, I have opted for the quartet pattern, which we are teaching this week. So you're going to have 4 3 by 3 inch photos running through the middle. So this sheet of designer series paper, I've actually stuck 1/2 inch up from the bottom, and then I'm running my 3 by 3 inch photos right through the middle of this 5-inch strip of paper. And then for my photos at the top, I've got 4 portrait photos here, 4 by 6 inches in size, and then I've opted for the petal pink cardstock to map my photos. So all these photo mats have been cut at 4 1/4 by 6 1/4 inches. Now, a couple of tips that I want to give you here with my photos. The really cool thing here is that I actually didn't have enough photos. So I know it looks like I've got 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 photos, but in fact, I actually only had 8 photos, and I've used all of my photos. This one I've cut down 3 by 3, but this photo and this photo was actually a 4 by 6 inch photo. So I've cut it at 3 inches, running vertically, and then I've cut my photo in half at the 3 inch mark. So this was a 4 by 6 inch photo. So a little tip here for you, that if you don't have enough photos, you can actually cut a photo in half. So this was 4 by 6. I cut it in half at 3 inches and then just took another inch off of the photo, and I've ended up with 2 photos out of 1 photo. I hope that makes sense. I didn't do a very good job of explaining that. I've done the same with this photo here. So in this photo here, I have had, like, the cat was sitting down the bottom here, and I've cut that through the middle. So I've ended up with a photo here where it's kind of really just focusing on the beautiful gift shop and the boutique that's in the background here. And then this one's focusing on the cat sitting on the lounge. And then this photo here was a close-up of these gorgeous flowers that were actually sitting in the pool here. So these photos were taken at a spa in Seminyak in Bali, Indonesia, called Bodyworks. My girlfriend Gemma and I went and spent half a day there. We had a beautiful 3-hour pampering package. It was just amazing. And the venue itself is very aesthetic, and a lot of influencers and Instagrammers come here to take photos literally just of the spa, or they book in for spa treatments so they can have, they actually tell you to arrive a little earlier to take all of your photos. So of course we were booked in for the first massage of the day in the morning, and when we got there it was very quiet, so we had this beautiful lounge area all to ourselves. We had some ginger tea before we went in for our spa package, and it had some massages and a beautiful spa and then a facial afterwards. So it was just amazing. And then you've got the gorgeous garden here as well. So you can see the colors in my photos just work so beautifully with this particular paper suite. This photo here I did cut down. This photo here I cut down as well. So that's just a little tip there for you, that you can quite often get 2 photos out of 1 photo, if that makes sense. Okay, I hope you are following along with me there. I wanted to keep the portrait photos as the ones that I really wanted to stand out for this particular layout, but the rest of them I cut down. Okay, now the technique I'm going to be demonstrating today, we have used the sponge daubers to ink around the borders of the papers. And I've done that for both the Pretty Peacock Designer Series paper and also the Timid Tiger paper. I haven't inked my photo mats. I've got a little journaling box here which was left over from my scrapbooking workshop kit. So I'm going to share that with you today. And because I didn't have a photo here, I actually cut this little journal box down out of my scrapbooking workshop kit. There was a purple border, about a 1/4 of an inch purple border at the top here. So I've actually used some of my leftover paper. So this paper we've torn, we did a tearing technique, which is on one of the layouts from the scrapbooking workshop kit I'm going to share with you today. And I've actually cut that. This was a scrap left over of what I've torn, and I've cut that at 3 inches and just stuck that over the top, covering the purple, because my color, my 3-color trio that I've gone with is Timid Tiger, Pretty Peacock and Petal Pink. You can see some of the purple and the green, Mossy Meadow and Berry Burst coming through here. These stickers were left over from my scrapbooking workshop kit. So I had a sticker sheet. If you buy the scrapbooking workshop kit, you'll get the sticker sheet in there, and you can see I've got some leftovers for this layout, and there's still plenty more I can use. You can also purchase the Designer Series paper on its own, or you can purchase the designer series paper with the sticker sheet as well, okay? So you can get those components individually if you don't want the scrapbooking workshop kit. So that's where my little love and adventure stickers have come from. And then you can see that I've used a little bit of bling just around the stickers and my journal box here. And these are the Charming Shimmer Faceted Dots. You can purchase these separately. This forms part of the Lovely Florals Sweet Collection. So I am going to go that, or I should say Floral Charm. I keep getting confused. I'm so sorry. Lovely Florals is the scrapbooking workshop kit and Floral Charm is the sweet. So I'm going to go through that with you in a little bit more detail at the end of this video. But these gems I bought separately, and I actually put these gems on my layouts for my scrapbooking workshop kit layouts, because I do just love a little bit of bling. So these are not going to come in your kit, just to point that out. I have purchased those separately, and you've got Petal Pink, Berry Burst and Night of Navy as your colors for your gems here. Okay, so that is my rundown of what I've used here on my challenge for this week. Let's go ahead and have a play with the inks. I'm going to bring these into the camera so you can see the technique that I have done today. So I've got some scrap cardstock here that I'm just going to be demonstrating this technique on. So this is Pretty Peacock. It's two-tone cardstock, so you'll have the original color on one side, and then you will have a lighter tone of the cardstock color on the opposite side. The technique that I'm sharing with you today is sponge daubing around the outside of your designer series paper. So you are going to need a pack of these little sponge daubers. You get 5 in a pack. You can see I've got a couple in here that I've not used yet, one that I've played with already. I will post links to the products that I'm sharing with you today. So you've got a 5-pack of the sponge daubers here. And you can see that these ones have had a really nice workout. Now, you could also use your blending brushes as well. I don't have my blending brushes at reach, but today I wanted to do the sponge daubers just because you can hold your cardstock and you can daub with your sponge just using your finger. I didn't need any excess grid paper down as a background. If you were using your blending brushes, I would recommend that you put your paper over the top of some grid paper and you can blend off the edges with your blending brushes. For today, I've just used the ink pads and the sponge daubers. So we've got Timatagi here and we've got Pretty Peacock here. So for the demonstration today, I'm going to do the Pretty Peacock ink on the Pretty Peacock cardstock. It does look quite effective, as you can see here, if you do the coordinating ink on the paper. I think it just adds a really nice technique of depth and really just helps, because this is quite a lighter version of the Timid Tiger, having the darker ink around the outside really just helps that to pop there. Okay, so let's pop open our Pretty Peacock ink pad here. If you've not used our ink pads before, a really great tip is to just pop, I mean, you can lift up your ink pad like so, or you can apply pressure at the back of the ink pad here where the oh my gosh, what's the word I'm trying to think of? Where kind of like the hinge opening is. If you get your 2 thumbs and apply pressure at the back there, it's just going to pop open that ink pad. I say that and then it doesn't do it for me. It's going to pop that open there, and then you can fold that over and slide your ink pad into its base when you're doing your stamping. For today though, what I did, because the inks themselves are on a foam pad, they are quite juicy. Okay, so what I would recommend is you can ink up your sponge dauber, and then you can just put I would daub that a few times in your recessed lid of your ink pad just to get that excess ink off. Okay, because what I found happened is that if I was going from the ink pad straight onto my paper. You can see here in some of the places where the ink is very dark. So I would recommend that you ink off first of all, and then you can just pick that excess ink up from inside the recessed lid of your ink pad. I'm going to show you this on the lighter side just because I feel like it's going to stand out a little bit better. And I'm doing this in a couple of different motions. You can just daub off the outside over the edge of your cardstock. What I have done here is actually just gone around. This is on my main layout here. I've done this technique in circular motions just over the edges of my cardstock. I could use this later now as a journaling box on another scrapbook page. And you can see that I've got ample ink here on this sponge dauber to go around my paper. And it's not meant to be perfect. It is meant to look distressed and inky. It's going to give a really nice depth to your cardstock. So I do like this technique of doing it on the lighter tone with the ink over the outside of the cardstock. Now, the sponge dauber is not going to blend as effectively as your blending brushes would, but you can see here how that creates just a nice border. And then if I was to rule my journal lines, and I could actually, instead of ruling my journal lines right to the edge, I could just rule my journal lines inside this softer bit here. It would actually look quite effective. And in fact, I'm actually going to hang on to this. I'm going to pop this in my little bag here with all my other leftover bits. You will probably see this pop up again on a layout that I'm using at a later time for another one of my weekly challenges here. So I think that would look quite effective there. So that is literally the technique with the sponge daubing. You can pick up some more of that there if you want to go a little bit darker, but I think that looks pretty cool and quite effective, don't you think? Who have we got watching today? I can only see Miss Sonia. It tells me that there's 7 of you watching, but I can only see Sonia watching. So I will say a big hello to those of you after. I will tag you in the comments. So be sure to drop me a comment below, girls, and say hi. So that is my technique for the sponge daubing today. Very simple, but it looks quite effective here on the designer series paper. What I'm going to do now is bring in the materials showing the products that I'm sharing with you this week. So first of all, this was an online exclusive that we dropped back in July. So this is the paper I've used today, the Floral Charm 12 by 12 inch designer series paper, and it's showing you here the cardstock. So I'm going to bring those into the camera shortly. There is a coordinating stamp and die set. There's also the shimmer faceted dots, which I've shared with you just before. And this is the Petal Pink braided trim. So I did share this trim with you in a video I did back in September. I did introduce these papers in a weekly scrapbooking challenge already. You can go back through my Facebook group, or you can head to the My Project section of my website, scrapbookingwithsarahshipton.stampinup.net. And you will be able to see where I've used the braided trim on another layout. So you can purchase all these products individually, or you can get the suite in its entirety. So that came out in July. And then in September, we released some more online exclusives. And this is where we released the Lovely Florals Scrapbooking Workshop Kit, which actually coordinates with Floral Charm. You can then get the Lovely Florals two-tone cardstock and also the Lovely Florals Designer Series paper and sticker sheet. You can, this is the same paper pack that I just shared with you previously, but here this is our scrapbooking from scratch product range where it also incorporates the sticker sheet into it. So I'm going to bring in my scrapbooking workshop kit layouts here. Let's have a look at this. So I've invested in the lovely floral scrapbooking workshop kit, and the technique that you're going to do with this particular kit is paper tearing to add texture. So I'm going to share those with you today. Now, these are in memory protectors because I have got some flip flaps on these layouts. So this is layout number 1. You do actually get some exclusive paper with the scrapbooking workshop kit layout. So you can see this beautiful circular pattern. That is one of the advantages of investing in the scrapbooking workshop kits. You do get exclusive sheets of paper that don't come in the designer series paper pack on their own. So layout number 1, these are some photos from our daughter's engagement party. I did a Life is Lovely layout, and I scrapbooked some photos of some of the females that our daughter has in her life that are very important to her. So that is layout number 1. This is layout number 2. You can see the neutral florals here were perfect for these photos of Darren and I. We had a professional photographer come and take some photos in Bali at my girlfriend's 50th birthday dinner, and so we each got to have some photos taken, which was lovely, and I've printed some of those to create this layout number 2 from the lovely Florals Scrapbooking Workshop kit. And this is layout number 3, this beautiful Timid Tiger paper again with the pretty peacock. This is layout number 3 from the lovely Florals Scrapbooking Workshop kit. And you can see I've got some flip flaps here again. These photos were taken for one of my girlfriend's 50th birthdays. We had a curry night, and I just loved the gorgeous colours in Debbie and Belinda's shirts here. I think they just looked perfect for the Timid Tiger and also the pretty peacock as well. This is where we've done the tearing technique through here. So this was actually the leftover tearing, the scraps of my tearing paper that I've used here. So let's bring in some of these papers so you can see those. And in fact, this was some of the stamping that I did from a previous layout back in September. A little tip for you when you invest in your scrapbooking workshop kits, it comes with a white piece of card in there that has just some product information on it. So the name of the product, the product code. It also actually lists all of the coordinating colors with that particular scrapbooking workshop kit. So I cut that down and I stick that on top of my bag. I've also cut down the card that was in the Floral Charm Designer Series paper because the colors that it recommends for the scrapbooking workshop kit are a little different. Some are same, but also additional. So I've actually cut them down and stuck them on the front of my scrapbooking workshop kit bag. And I keep all of my leftovers in the one bag. And then that helps me to have everything all together. A little tip that I want to give you for the scrapbooking workshop kit, you actually get 2 sheets of this paper in the scrapbooking workshop kit. It's exclusive paper, and how you know it's exclusive is that there won't be any pattern on the back side of the paper. So a great tip that I picked up from a fellow demonstrator was, as you can see here, this sheet is actually completely covered, and I didn't want to waste that paper, so I've used one sheet for the actual layout, and then instead of using this sheet and covering that whole pattern paper, I actually got a sheet of coordinating cardstock, and I cannot for the life of me find, oh, here it is. I actually used a sheet of coordinating cardstock here, Berry Burst, instead of wasting that second sheet of exclusive paper because it's going to get completely covered. And you might note that my layout is back to front, so you can see here that we've got this circular pattern on the left hand side with the two photos. I did switch that over because I loved how these two colors met in the middle as opposed to the paper going like that. I actually felt that it was better to have it open and more flowing that way. And in fact, if you look at the graphics on the website, it does actually have these images back to front. So just a little tip there for you. You may wish to switch the left and the right hand pages over so this pattern paper meets in the middle. I just felt that it flowed a little bit better. Okay, in terms of the cutting, I cut everything the way that the instructional guide tells me to cut it, because that is the whole purpose of the scrapbooking workshop kits. Now, these are just some of the pattern papers from the lovely Florals designer series paper. These are some torn pieces that I had left over from the layout I shared with you back in September. I've used that one on my layout together today. These were left over from my scrapbooking workshop kit. So again, exclusive paper. There's nothing on the back of them, but you get two 12 by 12 sheets of these papers where you can actually trim them down. So this one I've trimmed down to put my journal box on my layout for today. So you do get two sheets of those, and you're not going to use all of them, so you can see where I've trimmed that down and use that on my layout. I love it when we have papers like that. Here's some of the other floral designer papers. So this is the Berry Burst and the Pretty Peacock. And then we've got the Night of Navy and the background of that pattern. And then some Berry Burst and the floral here on the background. Okay, so this is from the designer series paper. As you can see, I did purchase a second pack of that paper because I think I will use a lot of it. And this is our two-tone cardstock, the coordinating colours. We've got Mossy Meadow, Blackberry Bliss, Berry Burst, Night of Navy, Timid Tiger. Who would have thought that all these colours would have gone together, hey guys? So they are some of the coordinating colours. And then they also suggest Early Espresso. You can see how some of these browns are picked up here with the floral. Pecan Pie, two-tone Pecan Pie, and also Cajun Craze. There is also Pretty Peacock and Petal Pink, but I don't have those colours in stock at the moment. One of the really cool things about coming to my in-person workshops is you can actually purchase the sheets of cardstock individually. I buy them as 12 packs, and then you can purchase them individually, or if you think that it's going to be a range of colours that you're going to use a lot, this is where you can invest in the lovely Florals two-tone cardstock. So I hope that has been helpful for you today for week 1 of October as we head into a new scrapbooking workshop kit and a new suite collection. Quite often in week 1 we'll cover both the suite and also the 3 double page layouts from the scrapbooking workshop kit as well. So stay tuned. You'll see me creating a lot more with this suite during the month of October. I cannot wait to see your layouts for this week. I also want to make a note of letting you know that I haven't yet caught up from last week's challenges. So I'm not going to be drawing the winner for September's challenges right now. I'm just going to need a little bit of time to catch up on the beautiful layouts that you ladies have been posting over the last week. And then I will be doing the draw for the September challenges separately within the next day or two. So stay tuned, and I'll be giving away some product. Thank you all for watching today, whether on live or a catch up on my YouTube. Don't forget that Facebook deletes this video after 30 days, so you'll be able to watch the uploaded version of it on my YouTube channel. Have a great week, everyone. I can't wait to see what you share with me this week. Bye for now.